Have you ever wanted to start your own podcast? I record and publish podcasts on a platform called Spotify for Podcasters, and I absolutely love it. Essentially, you can upload from your phone or computer, and it distributes to every platform that plays podcasts. They support video podcasts, and you can make money on the platform with ads or even podcast subscriptions, something that has made my life so much easier as a podcaster. So if you're interested, I highly recommend you give it a try. You can download the Spotify for Podcast app, or go to spotify.com/podcasters to get started on your podcast today. Welcome to the ChatGPT podcast. I'm your host, Jaden Schaefer. Each episode, we dive into the latest developments in the exciting field of artificial intelligence, exploring its applications and potential impacts on our daily lives. Today's episode is brought to you by Self-Pause, which is an AI life coach that I absolutely love. Self-Pause allows you to go and have a conversation around anything that you're trying to achieve. It helps you set goals. It helps you build positive habits, eliminate limiting beliefs. It's essentially just your personal coach for anything that you're trying to focus on in life. The best AI life coach. You need to check them out. Go download the app. This is something that seriously can change your mindset, and I am a massive believer in mindset. I know that if you change your mindset, you can accomplish anything you want to. So go download the Self-Pause app today, iOS and Android. This is something you absolutely need to get. Today on the podcast, we are going to be talking about, can ChatGPT predict the stock market? And this is also in addition to a very interesting news headline about someone claiming to use ChatGPT to predict winning lottery numbers and actually winning. So today on the podcast, we are going to dive into all of that. We're going to be talking about what is happening in the industry in finance specifically, and are we about to replace financial analysts? So all of this comes from a study which was done by a university in Florida, where essentially they put over 50,000 news headlines about different companies dating back to October 2021. They fed them into the chatbot. And then they had ChatGPT evaluate whether the news was good, bad, or irrelevant to the company's stock price. What's important here is it's not just saying like, is this good or bad news? It's saying, relevant to the company's stock price. So, ChatGPT has to have some understanding of not just, is this positive or negative for the company, but does this actually negative enough to affect the stock price or positive enough to actually make, those sort of impacts? And like, what are the things that affect stock prices? So I think that, in my opinion, is pretty interesting. In any case, they then use this to analyze and determine whether, they got the responses back from ChatGPT, and they had it predict if the company's stock performance was going to improve or be worse on the following day, following one of these news headlines coming out. So in any case, they did this on the study from all of this past data, and the study found that a significant positive correlation between the ChatGPT scores and the actual next day stock performance was shown. So companies with a higher score from this, ChatGPT test, they tended to have better returns than those with a lower score on the day following the article headlines. And what was really interesting about this is that ChatGPT actually pretty much, it outperformed what you would call traditional sentiment analysis methods. So this is already something that's popular in the industry, right? You already have financial analysts doing this kind of thing, and different models and software, yada, yada, that kind of do this. But ChatGPT actually outperformed those traditional methods. And so what's interesting is those traditional methods, they do news headlines, social media, like coverage, how people are responding to them. And they kind of use a bunch of different things to predict it. But even with that kind of richer data and more real-time live data, ChatGPT still did a better job. So the researchers concluded from this that incorporating advanced language models like ChatGPT into, your investment decision-making process is absolutely a good way to, more accurately predict what's actually happening in the stock market. So, this is really interesting. Obviously, they had the disclaimers like, don't use ChatGPT for all your stock market, financial investing advice. Obviously makes sense. But I think it's pretty interesting because obviously this is showing that these traditional models that we've been using for a long time are not even as powerful as ChatGPT. And I think that there's a massive opportunity here for financial analysts to use this, number one, or be replaced, right? Like we're seeing in a lot of different industries. I recently heard from someone in our Facebook group. He is he had a company that did like writing for people, and obviously he lost a lot of clients because people were switching over to just getting ChatGPT to write articles for SEO and that kind of stuff. And so he had to switch his mindset from, I'm not going to let ChatGPT replace me. I'm going to be the person that knows how to use ChatGPT the best so I can stay on top and still offer value. So I love that mindset shift from him. And I think we're going to see that with every industry, whether that's ChatGPT or any AI or any innovation in any industry, right? Like some people are going to roll over and, think like their career or their industry is over. And the people that are going to win are the ones that use it, leverage it, and become the best at using these AI and these new technological innovations. So anyways, aside from that random tangent, I think all of this is really relevant though, because we have also seen that, we reported earlier on Bloomberg GPT, which essentially is Bloomberg News that has went and kind of has this massive data set of all of these financial documents, news, filings, press releases, social media from a whole bunch of different companies. They've been doing this for a long time, and they created Bloomberg GPT, which they claim is a model that's going to improve on, sentiment analysis, news classification, headline generation, question answering, and a lot of other query-related tasks in the finance space. So it's going to be interesting to see if Bloomberg GPT is as effective as ChatGPT at this. And, it's kind of interesting because this isn't just something with Bloomberg. This is a lot of companies around the globe that are doing these kind of using their data sets to train these new models. And it's really interesting. What I'm really curious about is if these companies are going to be able to compete with ChatGPT, or if, ChatGPT with its massive data set will have an advantage over these like highly specific models. That's something that we're gonna have to watch when these are launched. Obviously, a lot of these things are just announced and not launched right away, but we are able to use ChatGPT right away. So I think this is really interesting. And then one other funny bit of news in this kind of ChatGPT prediction tangent is that there was recently an article about a guy in Thailand. His name is Patahakorn Borin, and he was on TikTok talking about how he used ChatGPT to predict the lottery and won. And it's not really that much money. I think it's about 2,000 Taiwanese dollars or whatever their currency is there, which is the equivalent of about $60 US. So not that much money, but it is interesting to see what his method was. So he said that he put a few hypothetical questions and some winning numbers from previous years into ChatGPT and asked it to come up with some new, some numbers that would help him to win. And he was talking to a local news outlet, and he said, he's been using ChatGPT for a while to generate winning lottery things. And he said on several occasions, all fruitful. So I'm assuming he's claiming to have done this before, but he really only has proof of the one time. And so, yeah, he says that ChatGPT told him that first off, it told him that winning the lottery was about luck, and it reminded him not to be obsessed with this new hobby. It also told him to go outside and do something like exercise, which I think is pretty funny. But it did give him some numbers. He did use them, and he won. So I would love to hear what your opinion is on that. If you join our Facebook group, let me know. Is he lucky? Was ChatGPT a genius? Did he strike gold? Or is the lottery system going to have to revise how they do things? Or is it kind of a coincidence that maybe a bunch of people tried to do that? I don't know. In any case, I think it is, this whole stock market analysis angle is obviously a lot more concrete, a lot more data behind it than winning the lottery. And so I think it's going to be a really big area that financial analysts are going to have to use or adapt or be replaced, because ChatGPT is really good at predicting the stock markets, next day moves based off of the news. And that is something that previously, we were getting big hedge funds and highly skilled, highly trained people to do. So just another area that seems to have been automated and has potential for some massive disruption in the future. If you are looking for an innovative and creative community of people using ChatGPT, you need to join our ChatGPT creators community. I'll drop a link in the description to this podcast. We'd love to see you there, where we share tips and tricks of what is working in ChatGPT. It's a lot easier than a podcast, as you can see screenshots, you can share and comment on things that are currently working. So if this sounds interesting to you, check out the link in the comment. We'd love to have you in the community. You've been listening to the ChatGPT podcast. Make sure to rate us wherever you listen to your podcasts and have a fantastic week.